The champ is here.
We will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
Your mate
Is the DB of the show, and we are Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that will not shut up and dribble. And today, you know, it's that time. It's June. It's time for the live, man. We're gonna bring them in. MH, man, you ready to talk about the top topics going on this month?
Absolutely.
All right, man. Let's start bringing them in. All right, who we got here?
Hey guys,
Coach.
how you guys doing?
All right, pretty good. How about yourself?
Great.
Let's go.
All right.
Oh, all right. So as we jump in, we'll bring you guys in, man. So how's everybody doing so far this month? You know, we're coming down to the end of the month. Happy to see everybody on here.
No complaints here.
Man, solid.
All right. So this is where we let y'all kind of jump in. If there's something that you want to, you know, say it with your chest, get it off your hearts and minds. You know, we can start off, or you know, we got topics for you.
I'm just here because I love Steph.
That is a place we can definitely start. So, you know, he is now being lifted or compared or put on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. You know, so I guess, is that his place? You know, do we talk about just the titles and what he's accomplished? You know, is he one of the greats?
I think he's definitely a great now. I mean, I've been critical of him for his 2 Game 7 performances where they lost. And I mean, he did it. So I have no complaints. I mean, I've always been a fan, but I ain't got nothing to say anymore. I mean, he came through in the clutch, finally, in the playoffs.
Yeah, I gotta agree.
And Brent,
The finals as many times
you're,
and win.
Yeah, and you're a former a recovering Warriors fan, correct?
It's a recovery.
Yeah.
No.
But seriously, I think he's definitely etched his name in stone in terms of, you know, a great for sure. To be able to do it and be with this team this long, and they be able to get those multiple runs in, and his shooting ability is out of this world. I don't think you'll see anything like this for a very long time.
I agree.
Go ahead, Gene. No, do your thing, brother.
For me, he's still not in my top 10.
No.
He's still not in my top 10 all time. But as like changing the game, evolving game, he's definitely top 4 in that category.
And who would those other 3 be, if you don't mind me
game
asking?
changers?
Yeah.
I would say when Magic and Bird came in,
Okay.
that combo, I would say MJ, Shaq, and then Curry. Because literally they had to change the rules on those guys. I mean, you could put Wilt in there too.
Yeah.
Because they had to change the rules for them.
Yeah.
They literally changed the rules, and they basically changed how the game was played. Like Jordan came in, they changed how the game was played. Magic and Bird came in, the game was changed. And Shaq, big man doing what he's doing, the game has changed. I think eventually you're gonna have to start throwing in the Giannis's and the Jokic, like the way that big is changing the game. Because right now you see the influence. You see Curry's influence. You got the Trae Youngs, you got the Ja Morants. You just got people just chunking up threes, not as great as Steph, but he's changing the game. He's changing the culture. If you go to any of these AAU games, everybody's trying to be Steph. Everybody can't be Steph, but you see his influence over the game. So for me, those are like my influence. But like when it comes just top 10 overall, I think it's other players that did so much on their own and didn't have a loaded team like he did. It's hard for me to just throw him in the top 10.
Oh, he's getting penalty points then.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on the archetype, right? I think he's a one of one, and if we want to rank whatever, I got crucified 2 months ago for this on a live show for saying he's the best little man ever. He's better than Isaiah. I'm gonna stick by that. He's better than Isaiah. He's the best little man guard ever in the NBA. I'm gonna stick by that. I don't really care. He's a 4-time champ. This is in the salary cap era, the free agent era. This is in what we know of LeBron James's era. He's a unanimous MVP, a back-to-back MVP. He's a scoring champ. He's all that. And to me, I think he's the culture setter. So whatever we found of what Golden State is, whether we say his team are stacked or not, he set the culture of that. You know, it's kind of like he's like the magnet. They gravitate to the greatness, right, of him.
Yeah.
And I think for that reason, he's got to be in my top 10. The other thing that I don't like, and that I'm going to say, I remember saying also, I was crucified for this, that record earlier in the season was very insignificant. And I'm going to back myself up and say it again, that 3-point king record, great. He did a great job. We didn't need to stop any game for that. We already know Steph Curry is great. Insignificant record. And that's all I got to say about that.
Well, here's my thing, though. I disagree that team is stacked. You drafted Clay, 26 or 27, and Draymond 35 or 36, and developed them. Everybody else in the league right now is calling people to meet up with them to stack a team. I think those are two different things. They did that through the draft because there was a point where the Warriors were going to trade Steph and keep Monte Ellis. So to develop all those guys and draft them as late as they did, I don't see how people can say they're stacked. They've not. Yeah, Kevin Durant came and all that, but they won before him and they won after him. So they're definitely not doing what all these other guys are doing.
I agree, but you know, two versus 4 is a big difference, and you know, I don't know if they get 4 without KD in that middle part of it. So, yeah, no, I agree though. I can agree.
Yeah, I mean, and then they were loaded. They sucked for 2 years and got top draft picks.
Yeah,
and they were able to use all that stuff.
They about to get loaded again.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, they was able to use all that stuff and flip it and to make a better team. And like, kudos to their GM and their staff with the Warriors.
That's right.
I was like,
That's
because
facts.
if he was anywhere else, I was like, I still don't believe in like the era of if you take Curry and put him on, take Giannis out, put Curry over there. That team not making the playoffs.
You talking about Milwaukee?
Milwaukee. If you take Curry and replace him with Giannis, that team is not making the playoffs.
Yep.
It's just not. It's just not going to happen. Like I can't like with Curry. I'm not at that level yet. That's why I say top 10. No, top 15. Yeah, because I still can't take him. Like I can't take Shaq with the Lakers, replace him with Curry, put Curry and Kobe together, and they're going to win the championship. I can't guarantee you that.
What era are we playing in?
And even if we played in this era, look at the last champions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take Milwaukee, you put Curry in there for Giannis. That team doesn't make the playoffs. If you put Curry in with AD, the team make the playoffs, but it's not winning the championship. Like it's still not that level where he still was showing cracks in his armor down the stretch in a lot of those games. And then he I like they benefited. Like they played some teams that were a little iffy anyway coming in. Boston whole team was banged up coming in. Like, and they was just it's just they were healthy and it was his time. That first finals MVP, I thought he should have won. They gave it to Iggy. I thought they should have gave it to him because he
and was it off that one play?
I was like,
that one play is kind of that momentum play that he got.
Yeah, and I was like, no, Iggy was not the MVP. It was Curry. Without Curry dropping his points, they do not win. Like Iggy played
I agree
a good
with
part,
that for sure.
Like, to me, he should have 2 finals MVPs. I mean, he does have 2 unanimous MVPs, but there's a lot of places like I can't take him. Like I can't put him where Hakeem. Like they wanted to bump out Hakeem Olajuwon and Tim Duncan and these guys. I was like, can you really honestly say you can replace Curry with Tim Duncan or Olajuwon in that team? Their teams would have won a championship. I don't care what era it is. Like those teams not winning no championship. Especially that 90s era where they can hand check you. If they can hand check Curry,
but
that's a different game.
See, this is where I disagree. And usually I'm the old head, but like this is where I disagree. I think Steph Curry is just as good. He's unique from every other great shooter in every generation where he can just as effective handling the ball or being off the ball. So, and then where you got to guard them, no disrespect to the era in the 90s and before then, but they weren't pulling up, from 30, 35 feet. You got to actually contest Steph Curry all the way out to there, and he makes it all easy for everybody else on the team. I think he's great in any era. I think he's a one-on-one in any era.
I would contend the physical play of the 80s and the 90s when Bird was balling was a significantly different game that didn't even allow the development that Steph and Clay and all these other players been able to enjoy. Like that didn't come from just Steph walking on the court at Davidson the first time shooting threes. Like he was in an environment where he can shoot freely, and man, they used to hit cats at half court in the jaw. Like, like Bird was one of them dudes. Rudy Tomjanovich, remember that? That was regular play.
But even the skill level of those guys, and this is not disrespecting their skill level. Let's just say Isaiah Thomas. No disrespect. Let's just say Isaiah Thomas. He was very effective in that era. Isaiah Thomas is a 6'1", 175, 180 player. You guys can't tell me that Steph Curry can't be as effective as Isaiah Thomas was in that era.
My thing
is, but that's a totally different player, though. That's a different player.
Yeah,
like he's not a shooter like Steph is.
But I'm saying the errors, right?
No, I'm just saying, like in general, like Steph is not that. Steph can't go to the basket like that, like Isaiah could.
What?
Not at all.
What Steph are we watching?
Right. Steph with that bad floater? No.
Oh, I disagree.
No. As much as he stay hurt, and much as he's so fragile when you touch him, no.
Larry Bird retired in 8 years because he was hurt. So that we can't say.
No, Bird retired in 8 years because he was plowing snow on his mama's driveway and hurt his back. That's the only reason he got hurt. He hurt his back and then played 4 more years and won 2 more MVPs with a jacked up back.
Well, let's talk about Steph's jacked up ankles, boy. That nigga got gingerbread ankles, man.
So you're trying to say them gingerbread ankles would hang with them?
I do.
I was like, I've seen if you play physical with Steph, you take him out of his game.
What Steph are we watching? Because Marcus Smart got different color hair, so he was playing physical.
That's not even close. That's not even close to Bill Laimbeer days. That's not even close.
What are you talking about?
No. When they let him do it, it was effective.
So they may foul. I just really totally disagree that he couldn't play in any era. This dude is 6'4", 190. He's not like a little dude. Like he's not. We say.
I'm not saying he couldn't play. I'm not saying he couldn't
Isaiah played.
I'm saying
Joe
it would be a
Dumars
different
played.
player.
Yeah, he'd have been a different player. He wouldn't be making threes like he's doing now.
The game evolves.
Yeah,
but
you think about his range though, man. Like
the rules changed to allow them to play like this. They're like literally the NBA was like when Jordan left, the NBA was so bad. And the players, the development was so bad when players was coming in, they had to change the rules just to get scoring up. That's the only reason the game is where it is now, because they were hand checking, they were zone defensing, like they were doing like Reggie Miller, Bird, and them had to play in that era.
Well, let me ask you this.
To do it.
Let me ask you this. So we mentioned Bill Laimbeer, and we could throw in Rick Mahorn. Can they play in this era, the way the rules are played now? Can they play?
They'll just be Draymond. They just Draymond. That's all he is. They just Draymond Green. That's all they are.
Charles Oakley and all that. They can be just as effective.
They Draymond with a better jump shot. Charles Oakley is Draymond with a better mid game.
So Bill Laimbeer can play. No disrespect, Coach Laimbeer, but he can play in this era.
If Jokic can play, Bill
absolutely. That's who. No. I can't just put big white dude versus big white dude. Jokic is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Bill Laimbeer.
None of them can move. So
there's no place for those guys in today's game, sadly, because everybody can shoot. I mean,
because they made the game easier.
But here's my thing,
so that's why the game changed.
And reference to Steph, and let's think of that Pistons team that had Rip Hamilton, and everybody said they couldn't win or he can't shoot. That dude was in better shape than anybody in the league. He was known for that. Steph is right up there with that. If Rip Hamilton can take the Pistons to a championship because of his conditioning, look at that play in Boston where he went to the hole, kicked it out to the corner, and ran all the way out of bounds back out there and got that 3 off. They have hand checking. That's why he moved back out. He hits it. They had to take him again. He moved back out. You got to guard him. So to say he couldn't play like with Isaiah and all that, I think
I would say this: if he had to play against the '96 Bulls, Pippen would lock him up. He wouldn't be able to do nothing. Lock him
I
up.
love Scotty.
Big
And I love
Lock
the team,
him up.
I don't know if Ron Harper's going to be able to play.
Warren
for Steph Curry.
Harper would lock him up.
Stop.
They were just
Not
big
not
and
with
wrong.
those knees. Stop it. Gene, stop. Please,
They would
please
lock
stop.
them boys up.
Not with those Chris Bosh knee braces he has. Absolutely not.
Lock them
Absolutely
boys
not. I'm
up.
not gonna let you do that. Gene,
Okay,
I ain't gonna let you do that.
Why you think they look like? Why you think they always look like trash in the Olympics? They don't never look like the players they are in the league when they go to the Olympics.
Who we saying? Who?
Team
They
USA.
Or Steph Curry?
No,
Oh, we
Steph
saying
Curry.
we talking about
Yeah.
Steph Curry. I'm not
We
talking
talking
about
Steph.
Kemba Walker.
Steph does not look like that because the rules are different for the Olympics. Because
I
you
can understand what
you
you're
can
saying.
follow
It's a-
somebody
it's-
to full
it's a
court. Like
different
you can run a different type of defense.
But-
Steph not
but-
the same player when he got to play that type of rule.
So
In the
Steph's not
NBA
a-
rules,
he's
he's
not
allowed to be more
adapting?
friendly.
He's not. I agree. NBA rules is
Yeah,
it's a
NBA
different game.
rules.
Yeah.
It's just a little different.
Yeah,
But I
even
think Steph
compared to-
Curry's great. He's going to adapt to any
compared the
era.
European League. Like, I mean, those players not even.
I agree
half
that-
as great.
I agree that he could compete in both eras. I'm just contending that he would be a significantly different player had he been playing in the older days. But he's benefited from a team. I think one of the most cohesive teams in the NBA today, hands down. Like there's no other team. They're more of a dynamic together than they are like picking out guys individually. And I think Sam Presti is looking at Golden State jealous. Like the Oklahoma Thunder,
Yeah.
they had like the first like really big what we see in Golden State. I mean, KD, Russell Westbrook, James Harden in the early days, he wished he could have kept them dudes together like the Warriors been able to do.
And he gambled. He took Serge Ibaka
That's
over
right.
Harden.
That's
James
right.
Harden.
That's right.
Wrong gamble.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
wrong
right.
gamble.
That's right.
But I
Mhm.
also think because of that speaks to the greatness of Steph Curry. Because there's room. What do they say? There's room at the table. That's what they say in church.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's that guy. Not everybody's gonna invite somebody else to come in my table and eat as well. Some stars like to have their own lane, and I think that speaks to the greatness of like him, a Tim Duncan, a Giannis, where their ego is probably a little lower than what a standard, superstar is, and that allows them to be great in their own right.
For sure.
And for me, Steph is just a two mirroring as a point guard. He's not a true point guard.
I
He's a
agree.
He's a
Draymond
two
is.
playing point guard.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
I agree. I agree.
All right.
All time
So-
great.
I like you slid that in there. All right,
Number
so 11. He's moved up so far. I guess that's where he's at in your top 15, number 11.
Let me ask you this real quick. Sorry, EJ. Let me ask you
No,
this.
go ahead.
This is a disrespectful question, I guess, but I don't think. Steph Curry or Kobe Bryant?
Kobe.
Kobe.
In what
There's no way Curry is not winning no championships with the Paul Gasol crew. I'm sorry.
But Steph would he be able to win with early 2000 Shaq?
I still don't think they win.
Mm.
Because Kobe was such a force. Like back then, the rules were still a little bit different.
Yeah,
They changed them again since then.
he was scoring
Like,
30. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
but
he
he
was just riding
wasn't.
his coattails.
He couldn't do what Kobe. Like you needed that mid range game. Like and they were running the triangle with Phil. Curry
Yeah.
can't run the triangle. Like and Shaq would have punched Curry in the face.
Now Curry can't win the triangle.
No, Curry can't run
Gee,
no triangle.
what do we think Steph Curry is? I think the Trae Young comparison is disrespectful too. I just think Steph Curry is one of one, and this is why I say Steph Curry over Kobe. I know it's blasphemy. I don't care. Steph Curry is over Kobe because I've seen a better version of Kobe in Michael Jordan. I haven't seen a better version of Steph Curry.
See, but you're saying, like I said, like as in game changing, as in being different. Yes, he's top 4, but as a player, as a full player, Kobe, who can D you up on one end,
Steph Curry not no
and
shab
score you on the other end. Like Curry don't play no defense. Curry's a liability.
I disagree.
Curry's a
I
liability.
disagree.
That
I
boy's a
disagree.
liability.
Didn't Steph? I mean, Stills. You can say whatever about Stills, but he led the league in the defensive category. Steph Curry has led the league in steals before
What
too.
what defensive team has he ever been on?
The Golden State Warriors was top 5 in the league.
No.
This year. What are we
As a
talking
player,
about?
what all defensive team he was on? Been on 0.
Man,
He led the league in steals and still wasn't on the all defensive team.
That's fine.
That should let you
How
know.
many MVPs does he have versus what Kobe had? I'll wait.
Kobe, we know what Kobe's situation was,
I don't know.
And-
How many MVPs did he have?
and we know.
I don't know. I
And
don't
we
know what
know
Kobe's
that the
situation
situation
was.
that happened in Utah is the reason they kept giving Steve Nash those MVPs.
Well, I don't know about that. I do know when Kobe was Kobe, 81
do know.
Kobe.
You don't want to walk
I do
down
know
that
this.
route.
I do know this. When Kobe was Kobe and he was scoring 81 points, they were getting lost. They were getting bounced in the first round. I do know that, but nobody wants to say that. No disrespect to Kobe.
Yeah,
Disrespect.
I want to see Kobe. I want to see Curry play with Smush Parker. They wouldn't even make the play.
I'm seeing Curry play with the triple single king and Draymond Green.
Gene is on one. Gene is on
Okay,
one.
right now.
Draymond
You know what
is
I'm
on
saying?
one. Oh man,
And
Gene is
they were
on
the
one.
worst
not
team
like-
in the league. They got the first pick in the draft.
It's no, I mean, it's not like
I don't think
like
Steph gonna
Curry-
make the YMCA team after Gene
No.
get done with him. God
No,
dang.
like,
No rec ball, huh?
God, we talking about Steph Curry here.
He can't
Man,
make
listen,
everything.
y'all-
He can't even play
y'all going
everything
way
ball.
too high for this dude. I'm like, wait a minute. You lying now. Now you bringing Kobe in it. I'm like, come on now.
I am bringing Kobe. It's a fair question.
Dude. You
It
don't
is a
play
fair,
on,
it is a
he
fair
don't play,
question.
he doesn't play on one end of the court.
And hold on, Steph Curry's still in his career, right? So
And
Steph
still
Curry is still playing. His
Yeah.
resume is still building, right?
And he's been probably played with better teams than Kobe over his career.
Come on, he played with Shaq in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
the most
I know,
dominant
but
man
after
ever.
that, like Curry's had the same
Nah.
team.
But hold on, Gene. Go
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to your
yeah. Curry
point.
do got a better
He-
team. He got
Right,
a
but
better
no,
team.
no,
he
but-
played with
Yes.
Shaq.
Oh, but
Kobe
notice-
played with Shaq.
But Gene's whole point was like of the game changing people. He had two of them on one team. So
I know he's a game like that's a game changer. Like he changed what players are coming behind him. That's all they get a game changer. But as a top 10 player all time,
Yep.
y'all drunk. Like no way. What are y'all sipping on? Like you can't take that dude and take him, put him in the other guys' places and win a championship. I'm sorry. You're not taking him and winning a championship on other teams. It's not happening.
I feel like that's fair. I couldn't see him winning like, I don't know,
He was
in Jacksonville or
look, Clay was out for 2 years. He finished last both times.
Well,
Again,
everybody-
Kobe Bryant, 81, wasn't doing nothing.
He still made the playoffs with Smush Parker.
Getting bounced in the first round. That's
It
okay.
doesn't matter.
Now, Steve Nash, who
Curry-
you mentioned
Curry
Steve
didn't-
Nash.
I
He's
look,
bounced
Curry
too.
didn't make the playoffs.
Okay,
Curry
well,
got the first pick in the draft. That's what he got.
fair.
all right, say it with your chest. Damn.
I'm sorry,
All right,
Birdie.
so-
I cut you off, Birdie. My
Oh,
bad.
you're
ahead.
good. You're
You got
good.
anything before we move on, Birdie?
Yeah, for sure. You're good.
All right, so we're talking about draft. It came up a couple times in the conversation. So, recent NBA draft was just held. Some shockers. Some teams did better in the draft than others. Too bad they don't give draft grades for the NBA draft like they do football. Because I know there's one distant-hearted fan that I'm sure is going to come off right now. But what are you guys' thoughts about the NBA draft?
Lackluster is there's a hype leading up to it, but nobody cares about it anymore. I mean,
I would keep it a buck. I didn't even know the draft was on.
right? It's not-
I looked at the TV and I was like, is this year's draft? Like, is this going on right now? I had to go to the info to make sure the date was right.
exactly.
Look, y'all teams don't suck. My team sucks, so I was interested in the draft.
Likewise.
I mean, it's not as bad. I watched the whole thing.
MH, who's your team?
What's that?
Who's your team, MH?
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we all right. The Knicks, man. We all right.
Oh, they ain't gonna never listen. It's been 20
Birdie, don't do me like that.
Y'all going all in on Jalen Brunson. All in.
All in.
All
I
in.
like him. The young Chris
I was
Paul.
like-
I'll take it.
I mean, he's a good player, but he's
He ain't all in.
Yeah, no, he's not.
Take him and who else?
He's not consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I missed it. I was like, oh, the draft is on.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Like
it
there
was
was
one of them
So
times.
yeah,
time where
I
was
care
like,
about
the
this.
draft is on. Like I can't do nothing else. Now I'm kind of like, oh, the draft is on.
So why do you guys think that? Why is it like just a miss or like we don't really care about it anymore?
because for the
I think
last
the
6
impact. I
years,
think the draft. Go ahead.
high school picks, unproven kids, mixed in with a bunch of stash players. And if any of those guys that is going 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were NCAA champions or had that hype, it might be a little more interesting. But we've gotten the same thing out of the draft for the last 6 years in a row. Bunch of unproven, undeveloped 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
All with potential. So, I mean, and I still watch.
I think it's still important.
Yeah, it's still definitely still important, and there's some people still doing great in it. Like I liked a couple of the second round picks, but just overall, like I mean, there used to be so much hype around picks 1, 2, and 3. Now it's just kind of like 1, 2, and 3. It's not not what it used to be because there's no real standout. You can hit or miss with 1 through 5.
And were you surprised by
Also,
the order?
credit the.
Oh, go ahead.
Not necessarily surprised. I
No,
thought
also-
Chet Holmgren would go. I thought Chet Holmgren would go first just because of his height and potential, but not necessarily surprised.
Yeah, it's just that new era. I mean, like once you start doing the whole G League thing, people gonna lose interest because I tell people all the time, college sports is the biggest marketing tool you can ever have for yourself. Because people still pay attention to college sports. It's still the biggest market. You go to the G League, I don't know you. Like I don't know you. Like I don't watch the G League. You don't come on TV. You might be great. Like Jalen Green was. I'm a Rockets fan. Jalen Green was in the G League. Like I didn't know what he was doing. It's like, well, I see what he's gonna do on the court. Like he wasn't in college, so I don't know what he was doing. So
Anybody watching the Indianapolis Ants?
yeah, like we're not watching it. It's like, we still prefer if you can pay the players to go to college, send them to college and let them just do it that route. Like because it's still the biggest marketing tool you get. March Madness is still the biggest marketing tool you get.
Right.
That's and add on international ball. We don't watch international ball. A lot of these cats come from there. Then with overtime elite and now these development leagues where cats can come out of high school, you don't see them. Then the last 2 years we've been in the pandemic, so you ain't seen no college ball. And now we had like I didn't even watch that much college ball this year. So nobody knows who these cats are. I can't say they're not good. I'm just saying I ain't never seen them.
Right.
I mean, just even in watching the tournament like this year, it was just kind of like, man, like watching them play, you were just like, like none of them made you go, yes, like, yes. It was just kind of like, they all right. They need some more work. They not, they not passing. They not running the floor. They not rebounding. They not doing. It was just kind of like, meh, they're all right. And nothing to really get excited about. So I just feel like it wasn't one of those things where I was like, yes, I need to watch it because I need to see if this player goes and when they go. It was just kind of like, I'll catch it later. Like I'll see the tweets or I'll see the
read about
Instagram post or whatever. Like I'll see what my peeps put up later about who got drafted, but it wasn't necessary to watch. And it's not something I'm like, I need to watch the draft. There's nothing, to Birdie's point, that excited me or got me like, yes, I need to watch it. I need to see what's going to happen.
So do we think that? Oh, go ahead, Birdie.
I was just about to say, how many years can Orlando and Charlotte and whomever 1, 2, and 3? Like the order doesn't change.
OKC traded out their whole team for them.
Come on, NBA. Give the Knicks a bone, please. Can we get one?
But this reminds me of remember the era where they was letting all those high school kids in, and you really didn't know who was going to be good. It's happening again. Now you got all these terrible teams. They get caught up in the hype, like, oh, this person's going to be the next somebody, and they end up flopping. Like that person is not that guy.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that going on. Like it's a lot of fraudulent stuff going on when they come to picks and the hype behind them. Like they have these hype machines now. Just like think about how big a Money Bates was a year ago.
Right.
Now they talking about he's not even going to be a first round pick next year. Which is crazy.
If I'm in Monty Bates, I don't play next year. I just work out. I don't even play.
So that
7.
brings me
You
up to
serious?
another question that I wanted to kind of pose to you guys, right? So it's tying all this together with the NIL deals that are kind of coming out, right? We saw what was it, the Miami quarterback just got for a deal, allegedly, right? But do you think those NIL deals are a reason or make some of these players stay in school a little longer, help with the one and done aspect?
No. No, that's still
At the end of the day, it's still a dream to be a pro. So they just the NIL deal. All I did was replace that insurance that they used to get to insure their legs in case injury and all that stuff. Because the high school quarterback from California that's going to Tennessee is worth $8 million already.
Yeah,
like
which makes no sense.
I agree.
Like marketing, budget wise.
It
makes no sense. Like it really is just a rich alum. I want to see my team win. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
It's like because that person's not worth $8 million. If you put hell, he won't be worth $8 million in the league. Right. So he's not worth $8 million now.
As an
18, so that's I guess what I'm saying, right? Like so, we just talked about someone that fell off. You know, if my draft stock dropped, maybe I stick around for pick up a couple more bags before I enter. But you guys don't think so?
Nope, it's still going.
It's still a league. They got too many people in their ears now.
Yeah, I would say it depends on
agents, and companies, and they're all in these people's ears now. So
if my draft stock was dropping and I was about to enter the league, my dad would be.
And at the end of the day, the goal,
like
you said, is
make this money here, because that's not guaranteed.
What were you saying, Brandon?
No, I think as long as there's another level to go, and they get it. And let's be clear, NIL basically they get sponsorship money. They get sponsor whatever deal they get from XYZ brand. The expectation is they're going to get more. Whether or not they actually do, the expectation is you're going to get more when you go to the next level. You've somewhat validated like these guys are going to move even faster.
Yeah, but you become a professional. If I could stay in school and I wish I could take some of that money. Like get me a Bojangles or a Chick-fil-A deal when I was in college. Man, we couldn't touch. We had to be careful what our little going to the gym and turn the lights and get that a little $200 check. These cats are racking up shit, and you can tell me and then I don't have the bills that I have when an adult. I just think that's I don't. Yeah, I don't. And I think it depends on who you have, right? Because
is your argument
that your Wi-Fi is killing me right now?
I'm with you though, E. Because I remember all the trouble we got up to with the little bitty stipend that we was getting. So I can only imagine what we would get into with a $5,000 check a month.
Again, this goes back to a conversation that we had a couple months ago, and something that was already brought up. Is who is in their circle, who's supporting them? Because you already over here talking about getting a Chick-fil-A and a Bojangles. You think somebody's telling them that to take their money and do that? No, they probably over there doing stupid stuff with that money, spending it on stuff they're not supposed to.
But they're gonna do stupid stuff whether they're in the league or they're
but the biggest thing now. Oh no,
I'm sorry, but the point you were making was okay, if that had been you back then, if that had been anybody on here back then, we would have been what we gonna do with this? But again, that is not, it's how flashy can I be with the money that they're going to give me? Because they're going to give me some more. They're going to give me some more.
Got some more coming.
Let me go act ignorant with this and see how much more I can get. And how
I can spend this and I'll save the next.
Yeah. But remember college.
Nothing.
Remember college football last season when all the good players are getting those NIL deals? Like Spencer Rattler and all those guys. Yep. But they had them. They got NIL deals. They all sucked. The only one that stayed good was Bryce Young.
All right.
Yeah. And then the biggest fear from all the pro leagues is, all right, this is gonna create a situation where we getting a bunch of busts and flops. We're not gonna get the hungry kids no more because they have nothing to fight. They have nothing to fight for no more. They getting more money in an NIL deal than they would ever get on their rookie deal.
Right. You have the whole quarterback that left the University of Texas to go to Nebraska of all places, because the NIL deals were better. And he talked about it. This is what I can get in Nebraska. I'm willing to leave Texas, which there's money in Texas. And he was probably not that great because I don't ever recall hearing his name before that. But just the fact that he can go as a no-name and go get more than the average person. So
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna take it. They're just at this point, it's not even about recruiting. It's just I'm gonna follow the money. Even Arch Manning, he comes from money, but even he got
he still went to UT.
Hook 'em horns, baby. Hook 'em horns.
right.
Sure.
Texas
That's
not
gonna
back,
be
y'all.
an issue for him.
They back. Yeah.
Texas
They
not
back.
back,
We're gonna
y'all.
find out.
And especially from like football versus basketball, because football, they like you gotta stay in a couple years. You ain't one and done in it here.
Yeah.
So like, at least NBA, you can be like, and I'm done. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go over here and get
Go
this
out.
big check.
Mm-hmm.
You keep your little that little stuff you got right now. I'm about to go get that big check. Football, you gotta wait it out. You got to get them years in. Your body got to develop a little bit more for you going there with the big boys. They're gonna hang out. They're gonna get that check and act a plum tea fool. But again, we seeing what you get with that. That the reason everybody's like, I'm all about college sports. I don't watch professional sports. It's not what they greedy. They about the money. Now you got college sports. Now what you gonna do? You gonna watch high school? Like I'm not watching college no more.
They getting back too.
Because that's where they hungry.
You might as well go to elementary. Pop Warner.
Like you go to Pop Warner.
AAU travel.
You might as well go to Pop Warner if you want for
That's
period of
it.
game.
I'm going to AAU travel tournaments. You
But-
can't even watch high school. No, coach, we ain't going. Okay,
We ain't
never
going.
mind. I'm
AAU
not
getting
watching.
paid too.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you done got
AAU getting paid.
yeah.
You need to go to the Y.
There's
Go to the
some
Y.
dollars getting passed
Yeah, go to
around
the
now.
Y. I'm going to the 24-hour fitness around the
Go to-
corner.
go to
I'm
24
posting
hour
up in the gym. That's where they play for heart, right there.
Look, you gotta find an actual basketball court somewhere out.
Mhm.
Like you gotta find an outdoor court somewhere.
I'm going to the park.
with the
Come to the adult league.
because
Yeah.
they
You need to go to where you want to go is to the prisons. That's where they
Oh,
hooping.
That is facts. They ain't playing for nothing but cigarettes anyway.
I know.
Look, nothing but
Cold hard.
Cigarettes and ramen.
Look, they playing for something.
Yeah.
legit.
They really
Look,
playing for
if-
something.
if I was what up, y'all? Appreciate being here. Enjoy the conversation so far. But if I was anywhere between 16, 18, 19, right? So if I'm in high school or a freshman and I've got some NIL deals, like some big bag, and I was I would say male or female, I would definitely stay. I would stay in college. And the reason why I would do that is because one, I would hope that I'd have a village around me that would really talk to me about planning, right? So if we're talking about planning, let me get this degree, right? Let me get maybe 2 degrees. Let me get out of here with a master's. So if I'm like 15, 16, something years old, I'm doing something called like Running Start, which is where you can get your high school degree and your college diploma at the same time. So by the time I get into college, what I'm going to have now is I'm going to be able to get a master's degree. Now, if I got these NIL deals and I'm making millions, I've got a master's degree paid for. I've got millions of dollars at the same time. And then if I'm still healthy, think about all the different businesses and stuff I can start. So by the time I'm 22, 23, and if I still want to go to the league, especially on the W side, I made way more money than all the women in the W off tops right now, which is unfortunate. And then if I'm a dude and I'm going to G League, you're probably still making way more money, and you got a degree, and you got more experience, and you got more social capital. Like it goes beyond. But again, like we said, it depends on who is in these people's their corner in their village, like really telling them, here's all these different levels and things that you can achieve. Here's all these different networks that you can connect with and get your bag and get your degree. So by your time you're 25, you're like, I literally can do whatever the heck I want to do with life if you got the right advisors in your corner. So I'm staying.
Hey, coach, let me ask you this. I agree with everything you said, but I don't necessarily believe that you have to be in college to do that. If you're able to get an NIL deal, you can get some money. If you have an opportunity to go to the league, you can do that. College isn't going anywhere. I do believe in education.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily believe that college is the only avenue or mechanism to do that. Because if I look at every other industry, you can go work for any company you want at any point in time in life. And if you get an opportunity to go get those deals, especially in an industry where your earning potential is so small. I mean, you're talking on average 4 years, 5 years. Like not everybody's going to be, hey, I'm in a league for 15, 20 years, be a journeyman. Why wouldn't you say, hey, if you got the opportunity, you still need to have that village around you for sure. Why not take the lead?
So I guess my question back to you is, how do I keep my NIL deal if I'm not in college?
Oh, the money you make from the league. I'm saying if you get an
Oh.
opportunity to go to the league. If you say,
Got
hey,
you,
I
got
get
you.
drafted, I can go to the league, I wouldn't expect somebody to say, oh, no, I'm not going to go to the NBA. I'm going to stay in college and keep my Taco Bell deal.
But see, I think
Well,
that
I
also.
think-
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
I was gonna say, if you look at one, you have to think about the unknown. I think too many times I'd rather get hurt in college than to get hurt as a pro. And it just kind of depends, because if I'm in college and I get hurt, and I'm just coming right off the top of the dome with this, if I'm in college and I get hurt and I still have some more room, I've got a red shirt, I've got different things that I can do, and I don't think I'm gonna lose out on some of those deals. If I'm a pro now and I get hurt, I feel like the pressures are that much higher, where, like, think about if you don't, like, you may not have the opportunity to really come back and get back after it. You get off a roster, you go now down to the G League, like, things really shift, I think, really, really fast, especially if you weren't top of your game. I 100% agree that college is not the space, but I also think first of the most marginalized, right? Like, I think first of players who are not at the top 1%. More times than not, you need to stay your butt in college so you can have that network, so you can connect with other people and leverage, and so you can get better. So I think, especially on the women's side, there's only 144 women's players. So that's where my mind is going to go off tops first, is you need to stay in college, because that's where you're going to get everything it is that you need to get. Not because college is the end all be all, because research has proven that is not the case, but because of what you can leverage while you're in that environment.
Okay.
Like in the WNBA or for females, though, your NIL deals in college is going to surpass your WNBA salary in 5 years. Like, even the max WNBA salary is $250. So you made $1 million in 5 years. There's college seniors that's made $1 million already. So that applies perfectly on that side. Because I mean, look at Zia Cook, and I don't think, and I like Zia. I worked. She was one of my first kids in elementary school, but I don't think she's the top tier NCAA point guard, but she's worth over $1 million. Why not come back next year? It take her 7 years to get that in the WNBA.
And then I think the other thing that you have to consider from, NBA or male standpoint is, where are you going in the draft? Like, what number are you?
Yep.
Because if you ain't high enough up there, what's the point if you're going to make more money in college than you are in the league? Like, if you're going to get picked and you're making league minimum, I mean, you need to think about that. Like, we just made a comment about going from Texas to Nebraska. Like, if you had to go to Nebraska to get more money, where are you falling? What day are you getting dropped? What day are you getting dropped on?
Right.
So, like, I think there's things that you have to consider. I think that's a good point, but I think you have to consider a couple other factors before you say it's an automatic. I should definitely go to the league over keeping the NIL deal and staying in college a little bit longer. I think you got to look at a couple different factors. I mean, if you going in the top 5, okay.
Yeah.
But if you're not,
but
you
in
need
the
to think about that.
In the NFL,
But at the end,
I was gonna say, if it's the NFL, let me tell you this right now. I've seen my friends, and their knees and their minds are so gone. I was like, "Hey, you want to talk to some former NFL players? Here you go, talk to them. See the NIL deal? Stay there, get that deal, and don't worry about the pros. If I can make $25 million in college, I'm never thinking about the pros in my life after seeing them dudes. Like, why? Like, I'm not getting. No, I was like, that's a pride thing. After that, you was like, oh, I want to. Yeah,
and that's the part that I think we're missing, though, is that as a athletes are sports are built on competition, right?
Yeah.
So there's an element of me that always wants to get to the top of the line of what the competition is. So I think the pros is always going to be the pros, whether you getting 10 million in NIL deal or 10 cents in NIL deal. I want to go play where the best people are playing. If I'm good enough to do that, and if I am one of those 1% that are actually good enough, less than 1%, to play in the pros, well, hell yeah, I'm going to go play. That's worth more than $10 million.
I've been correct. One of those words, I would say, not if you are that good, if you believe you are. Like, that's what we're teaching everybody. Like,
but you still got to be that good, though.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But if you think you have the opportunity, go for it. It's the same way that, yes, I can go make more money.
But they all think they had an opportunity. That's the problem.
That's fine. And that's fine. And I'm saying,
you actually got to be that good.
But at older ages, we realize, man, I wish I would have went after my true passion, what I really wanted to do, and take that opportunity. I can go make more money technically at working in an office somewhere in Ford Motor Company, working on, I don't know, a Toyota Prius. Yes, I could. I don't want to. Like, I really have a passion to go do this thing. And I think young kids don't think any differently than that. They're like, hey, if I have an opportunity, I think this is my shot. Whether or not it is or not, I'm not saying it is, they're going to go for it. Like, that's what we want young people to do.
See, that's
and if you can play, go ahead, EJ, my fault.
Yeah.
Well, no, I just don't think that we're all really talking about like maybe like the generation, because we're all around a certain generation that pushed and had that aspirations, because that's what we had. We didn't have NIL deals. These kids are so get the bag, and Skillet, you can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I mean, this dude's doing like 50 million things, right? He's got a podcast, he plays video games, he's got a Twitch handle, so they've been divested and like really thinking about how to make money. And it's not about like MH, I'm going to the league because that's where the best competition is.
There's a lot of players there's a lot of players out there that just, they don't really love the game. They doing it because when they can provide.
They doing it.
It's way more of those guys than it's actually guys who actually love the game and actually want to play.
A couple of podcasts have just been recently talking about like those.
They say they only did it to provide for their family. If it was something else they could do, they said they would have got like the NIL deals that they're currently getting. They said they probably would have played the league 5 years and be done, because it's like it was all about providing for their family. Like
culture shifted.
It's like at the end of the day, you can find ways to compete. Like even if it's football, it's something else in life you can compete at. You can replace that.
But and again, you could also say, I was good enough to get this. That might be enough. Like, I get what you're saying, MH. There are some people that are like, nah, I got to go up against the best. Yep. But there are other people that's like, yeah, at the end of the day, I can brag that I got this NIL deal and I got this money right now. So I'm good. Like, you didn't get that, so you can't really think nothing.
With all due respect, you're not a professional. Because to me, that's what makes the professional. The mental part we're missing, right? We talk about mental. We're missing that part.
MH. What makes you professional is getting the check, right? Once you start getting paid for it.
Breaking. We got breaking news.
I disagree. Yes.
We got
breaking news. I agree with that. No. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, we're still talking about sports, are we not? Are we still talking about sports? There's an element of win and losses when it comes to competition in sports.
Yeah,
that still matters.
NILs though,
it matters not to everybody.
Well, it's not. NIL is going to be not for long if you can't play. That's what I'm saying. You have to be able to play.
Where's the F?
You got to be able to perform. Well, whatever the case is, you got to be able to perform. You got to be able to produce. You got to be able to produce on the actual playing field or playing court. If you're not doing that, you're not going to get no money.
But I think we're talking, there's almost 2-3 different conversations, right? Like that just popped up. So like MH, you're talking about, if I'm a hooper, I'm trying to hoop and I'm a competitor, I'm trying to do it at the highest level possible. I want to be able to say, I like being able to say I was a professional hooper. I love it. It feels great to be able to say that, right? There's that.
And money's not a number. Is what you're saying. I love it so much, I would do it damn near for free. It's kind of
right. Like I played in Brazil. I love the fact that I can say, right, I started from the bottom and worked my way all the way to the top as a professional athlete. Totally different game. But the next piece that we're talking about too is also we're talking about competition. There's not a lot of people are competing for different things now than what we were competing for. Right? They're competing for the bag. They're competing but this is the thing though. Here's the separator. I think that's what makes the cats who get in the league and stay in the league longer and really collect that long game bag, because they're competing on it with a totally different mindset. Like they're literally hungry. Like I think of Ja Morant, like bruh is a competitor. Like bruh just wants to hoop and he wants to win, versus some of these other cats, right? Who may be
Simmons.
Right? Like are you competing for clout? Are you competing because you really want to hoop? Like, what does that look like? And then the lower you go, these younger kids are looking up at all these athletes like, well, like what really matters? I'm really just doing this right to get my family out the hood. So you got that savior complex. If I can get the bag right now, I'm going to do it. And then a lot of them don't really have that work ethic. So now cats is getting money for clout and not really for being a competitor and having the work ethic and trying to see how long can I leverage this clout that I have versus actually being able to leverage my competition, which is where you're going to get and become a pro regardless of the level. But I also agree with Mr. International. The second I get paid for something, I'm a professional.
Let me say this. If you're not competing in any walk of life, whether that's not playing, whether that's at a job, whether that's hustling the bag, if you're not competing, you're not going to survive. So I think you should be competing at all levels, whatever your end goal is, you should be competing. And if we're talking about sports,
I think it's more about your motivation. It's more,
and people
like
can't
motivating you to compete.
You're going to compete in this world, right? Are we not?
Yeah.
Am I
I'm saying you're supposed to, but I'm saying it's a lot of people out here getting by. Most get by just getting the bag. They go to work. They carry their lunch bag, go to work every day. They work at whatever industry they're in. I'm being honest.
But somebody's coming to get your bag.
But
somebody's coming to get your bag. If
How
you're
many
not
of us work with
competing,
people? But how many people work with us that get paid, and we're like, man, you really don't do that much.
But you gotta.
Everybody wants a promotion, right? Everybody wants a
you gotta
promotion.
think about it. This
No,
generation,
everybody doesn't. Everybody wants the bag, but they're not
That's
willing to
right.
do what it takes to
That's
get the
correct.
promotion.
To get the bag.
There's more.
That's correct.
There's
That's
more
correct.
lazy
Yeah.
people. I'm using that loosely. I don't want to go
Just
real.
say it. That's a great
philosophical
word
on
to
it.
use. That's a
But
great
there's
word.
more people
Content.
who just well, actually, I'm pro content. I think
Lazy
contentment
attitude.
is a skill, right? I think there's complacency. There's more people who are
That's a better word.
complacent
That's a better word.
and want more than what they've worked for. And I think that's where you're going to find those athletes at the end of the day who didn't really develop that hunger and thirst, right? There's different types of people. There's people who are really I'm going to work like Kobe thought. I don't want to think like you think. I don't understand how lazy people think. I don't understand how people who are complacent think. And I think that's where when you look at these athletes now, is a big difference between those who are competitors and those who are complacent. And yes, I agree. There's a lot of people out here at these jobs who are just, look, I'm coming in, they're coming in late, have poor work ethic, have bad character, and are still collecting a check. So that's a whole nother conversation, but that's also the same with these athletes. They probably have the same stuff. They just have the clout and they're just collecting a check still.
Okay, but let's look at the number 14 player on Gene's all-time NBA list in Steph the Great. I'm gonna call him the Great. That's his number 14. He came from money. He had money. He had two parents graduate from college. He's an NBA champion, MVP, NBA All-Star, and he has nothing left to accomplish in the NBA. So what does he do? Go back to school and get a degree, just because some of the greats did. So everybody's hitting on something here when it comes to competitiveness. If you're competitive on the court, you might be competitive in life. Why does he need a degree? Honestly, why does Steph Curry need a degree at this point in his life at 37?
Set an example.
Exactly. So I think that's where being competitive and everything, like what MH said, on the court, off the court, but everybody doesn't have that.
everybody don't have.
You're going to get passed up, though.
Most people don't have that.
Right.
Get passed up.
99% of people don't have that to the part that makes you a professional athlete, like MH is saying. Right?
Right. No, I agree. Right.
And I think
I'm
that's
just talking about Miles Hayes on Outlook. If Miles Hayes is not competing to get to the next level, Miles Hayes, somebody else is going to grab my job. You know what I'm saying? I think you got to be working to something, or somebody's going to come grab your spot.
Yeah.
The Kardashians come out with a new lotion every week. Why the fuck they still got the money?
New lotion.
Every damn
But
week. They competing to keep
every-
the limelight.
but
J-Lo-
it's-
Securing that line.
It's a new generation behind us that don't think that way.
and that's what I originally
That's
said.
the biggest thing. They don't care
That's
about
what
that
I originally
competition
said.
crap. That's not them. They don't
And
care
I-
about that. It's
and I
like,
think
listen,
I want to get paid. I want to get
Yeah,
paid.
let me
How
get
can I
this
do
bag.
that?
agree.
all you have to do is get this bag. Say if I'm getting NIL deals, I'm making $8 million a year in college. Throughout college, I do good in college. Yeah, I can be a social media star. I ain't never got to touch the league because that's not what they doing it for. They doing it for the money. That's what it's for. It's
I
a brand new
disagree.
generation. Like
The other thing I'll say too, Gene, is just to everybody, they don't think future minded.
Hey, mute yourself if you're not talking to hear an echo.
They only think right now, present moment. What is it what I'm doing? How is it going to impact right now? Because if you think about social media, that's instant gratification. So I know our generation or some kind of talked about instant gratification, but this right here, I can get my worth hit in
This shit
instant.
right
That
here?
NIL was instant.
Right.
It's like right here, like this. It just changes the game for them, so they don't see the world. Like if you want to talk to them about investing, it hits different. They want to see that ROI like tomorrow. That's where I think NIL is a game changer because the ROI is right now versus like 3 years from now. What does that even mean? I'm trying to turn up now. Like that's their whole thought process. That's why you need advisors around to say, take a portion of this and put it somewhere else, right? Do this, and this is how your money's. And I think this is why LeBron is so dope, personally, right? Because he shows here all the different ways that you can leverage who you are as being more than an athlete. But there's not enough athletes or people or role models out there in general speaking to the long game versus just speaking to like, here's your instant gratification.
Yeah, and I think
And I would say this. I was in the Rockets literally in their locker room for 7 years. It was 3 players that actually ever cared. Like really, really cared and was competitive and really loved the game. The other ones, they was just that they would tell you that. I'm just doing enough to make sure I get my next check and my next deal. So I can provide for my family. That's it. They really didn't like a lot of those players, like people think that until you actually in the locker room and you hear them talk about it themselves. And like you realize, like, you know what, it's not that really many competitors like in the league like that. That's why when Draymond Green said he's only really like 10 players in the league that actually have a real high basketball IQ. Everybody else is just here. And like I was like, based on my time working in the NBA, I was like, yeah, he right. Like it's serious. Like it's just a thing. Like, all right, I'm getting paid. I'm getting this money. That's all I'm trying to do. Like I like if I'm getting dogged tonight, if somebody crosses me up, I get dunked on. I don't care. I'm gonna go back up. I ain't gonna work on my game after the game. I'm not gonna put it into practice. I'm only gonna go to the practice I need to go to. I'm not gonna put in the extra work. I saw him. I was in there. I was there in the locker room. I was there on the practice court. Look at who was there.
When I was shooting in
wanted
the
to be there. Everybody didn't want to be there. Everybody was just collecting checks. Like I can name players. I can look at them like, all right, I know from just being in the league, I can look at players and tell you like, all right, that guy's there just collecting the check. He don't really.
So, Gene, with that being said, Gene, what would you say about Ben Simmons, man? Would you say
Ben Simmons is collecting the check? That's not his first love. And I'll tell you, I knew that about Ben Simmons when he was at LSU because my family's from that area. And I'll tell you right now, he never did love the game. He never did.
Saying that
it was all about money for him.
Wasn't actually
he was so mad about the whole money situation, like about him not getting paid at LSU. Like he did a whole Showtime special on it.
reality show. He wanted to be a reality star.
He wanted to be a reality star. Like
before he played ball.
He didn't. Ben Simmons never did love the game. Kyle Kuzma is another one. Kyle Kuzma don't love the game. Kyle Kuzma's like what the game gives.
I don't know.
It's a light skin thing. And it sounds like a light skin thing, Gene. That's what it sounds like.
It's not just
you
light
heard
skin.
it.
I was about to say, wasn't Darren Williams like that too? Wasn't Darren Williams like that?
Curry was your top dude, so we ain't no light skin shit, damn it.
I don't know. We can't put Steph in the top 10. I mean, there's a lot of I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me. Am I going or am I blurred out? I feel like I'm in the metaverse right now. All
right, man. We're gonna keep it moving, man. We're gonna keep it moving. There's some news that popped up because I want to bring this up. So it looks like John Wall will sign with the Clippers. Gene kind of dropped that in for us. So what's your thoughts on that? And we got HM's not very happy. He was hoping to go to his Heat team, but any thoughts on that? Because then next I want to move to our Sage Master, Kyrie.
I think it ties to kind of our last conversation about the passion of play. Like financially, it doesn't seem to make sense for a guy to opt out of. I don't know what the deal was, but I know he had a lot of money on the table, which is why he was sitting on the sideline. Dude wants to play. He's like,
and he lost a lot of money by sitting on the sideline.
John Wall lost a lot of money.
I was thinking about Kyrie too, though.
Because
they both had the same. They both had the same situations, like opting out. Right?
John Wall's gonna walk away with $41 million in his buyout.
Oh yeah, he's still getting some
out of the 47 that he was gonna get this year. Okay. He's gonna walk away with 41.
Yes.
Good move by the Clippers.
I don't see him making that big of a difference at the Clippers.
Ooh.
Really?
Wow. With Kyrie coming back next year? Not Kyrie, Kawhi.
Kawhi. Paul George?
Nah,
We don't want to talk about pandemic P. Paul George
If he's
is
healthy,
not
man,
even-
he's
Yeah.
It's
Paul
not even
was
any
good
type,
this year.
any type of conversation. Paul George is a wash. Trash.
No,
trash
Paul
can.
was good this year.
Wow,
No,
George
you
is-
tripping.
Good.
I don't like
Paul
Paul
George
George,
was
but
good.
trash.
Good, terrible.
Paul's good every year, but he hasn't taken that next step to be like.
Paul George, yeah, I mean he's a good player. Okay, he's a good player. I'll give him that, but he's not great.
To say what happened
He's
to
not-
his leg, I
If
think
you
he's great where he's doing right now.
After Damian hit it from the logo in his face, he died to me at that moment. Time of death, then. Couldn't do it.
Dang.
Disrespectful. It was just you played so far back. You know he hits that,
Oh,
and he
man.
said, "Oh, okay, nothing." No,
Dead
absolutely.
on arrival.
Pandemic P is a dump.
Wow.
You taking Pandemic P or Ben Simmons?
Pandemic.
Oh,
Pandemic P. It's not even a question.
Pandemic P.
I might be
It's not
taking
even
Ben
a question.
Simmons still.
Yeah, I ain't taking Ben. I wouldn't take Ben.
I don't even
Simmons.
know when Ben Simmons picked
The
up a
popping
basketball for the last time.
We gonna
Like,
next year. We gonna see. And then all that Zion disrespect too. Watch next year.
I might
All
just
right,
he just heavy on the gumbo.
hey,
Watch
Heavy.
Zion.
if
next
you
year.
live down there too,
Heavy
you
is a-
would be as
I'm
well.
mad.
Hey, that food
That
is.
gumbo, that
Have you
gumbo.
been in Louisiana?
I was
Let's watch
just in New
Zion.
Orleans 2 months ago, and I ate probably 2 pounds a day at least of
I
just
think
food.
there's,
Period.
there's
Oh,
certain
that
places
minimum.
where like that shouldn't be a fact. It's like, do you understand how good the food is?
I'm
there, though?
saying.
Like, you can't expect me to not gain no weight.
Oh my
Like,
god!
you just, I'm about to eat the city. Like, that's
I went to just a real quick story. When I was there, I went and did like a seafood broil, and my buddy got like real sick, like in the very beginning, right before the food came, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna see you back at the hotel. I'm gonna be here though, eating my food. I'll bring yours back. I got you, but I'm not missing out on this.
Keep the party
I
going.
gotta have it fresh. Yeah.
Neither
So
is mine.
I'm gonna catch you on the flip.
there's certain things you just don't like. We're not gonna take it back. We gotta eat that now.
Right
Like,
now.
That's gotta
Well,
happen at this moment.
In reference though to Zion, you guys brought up, we just talked about securing the bag. It's about the bag, maybe not the work ethic. So his work ethic has been knocked. And you look at the past 2 years where he's played 40 games, and now he's in a contract year and refusing to sign because he wants more. Like, he's done nothing. He's literally done nothing.
But he actually has legitimate injuries. He's not Ben Simmons.
I'm not knocking that, but what have you done to get the bag that he wants?
He says he's not Ben Simmons.
That's the phrase. That's the phrase.
That's not Ben Simmons.
You see anybody bootlegging at their job, you just tell them to quit Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
He has to work.
This dude has played, he's missed more than he's played. Like, so where does that come in on the bag? Like the
And
team
I
is
say this, Birdie, for him,
and
I
he
think
wants
it's right now or never for him, knowing that if he can't leverage his name to get a contract now, then he may not actually ever be able to produce enough to get another big contract.
Yeah.
So you gotta, well, no, MH. I think he's a baller, but you got to be on the court to ball. So if he's never on the court, you can never make the money to get paid.
You
Right.
can't go eat the whole New Orleans up and then be on the court. It's not.
Yeah, that's
his
heavy. You
brain-
do it. Yeah.
That's where his injuries came from. Overeating. Like,
I agree.
So let's just say that the next 6 years is a lot of the same, he's never gonna get paid again. So he's got to leverage it right now, where there's still he's getting over his injuries. Let's pay him because he has potential. 3 years from now, it's gonna be over. It's gonna be like, yeah, man. He's
So what it
washed
sound
up.
like y'all saying though, he got a discipline issue, like being able to be disciplined to do what it takes to be a professional. If what y'all saying, I don't know if it's all
Or
because of
maybe
eating,
he doesn't
but if it
love-
is,
he doesn't-
it's a discipline issue.
he doesn't have enough good people around him.
we think he
Yeah.
does just good.
His family manages him, right?
If his family manages him, and usually when your family manages you, it's a wrap, Bucko.
So I got two questions on that. One, Birdie, I think to your point, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is like, why is it that people think that they can have stuff that they don't deserve? Right? Like, where does the earning, like, you got to earn this come into play? Like, if high schoolers are being worth $8 million and it's like, you ain't even proven anything yet. Like, you haven't even played at the collegiate level, right? I think that's one piece. The second piece is like, when we're talking about, I don't understand how somebody could be in a certain frame of life and not have the right people around them. That just doesn't make sense. I get it, but I don't get it. I think I get it, but I don't think it. Like, where is it, or who is it that should be in charge of making sure? Is it the league that should make sure that here are these people that you need to have around you. Like whose fault is that? If it's anybody's fault, obviously I know they're grown adults, but like at what point, like why is it that there are young, bright people leveraging their talents and then they still don't have the right people around them? But I think that goes across the board as far as music, rap, anything that impacts us as Black and brown people. Anything that we do, there's money involved. It always goes back to they don't have the right people around them. Why is that always the case? I guess is my question.
People want to put family
The problem
first.
with that is that money and how to manage money is not something you figure out overnight. So you got kids coming into money overnight with no one in their family ever managing that kind of money. And then when you say, hey, should it be the league's responsibility? That would be like me saying, should my employer teach me how to manage my paycheck, right? So you can't really look at it that way. And then you ask, where did the shift go? Well, when a kid gets out of or goes into high school, he's played Pop Warner for 7 years. He was a bench warmer the whole time, but he got a participation trophy every year to put on the counter. Right. So it shifts how you see it now. When I was a kid and you played Pop Warner, shit, you was either a four-play Johnny or you fought to play. And at the end, if you didn't win anything, you didn't get anything, but try harder next year. So when everybody gets a trophy, no matter how much they contribute, compete, and it doesn't matter, you just got to show up for 70% of the practices and you get to take a trophy and a little thing home with you, then it shifts the way we all see it. Like I was fighting for playing time to get my shine. But if at the end of the year, I get the same jersey, the same little trophy to take and put in my little thing, and then 10 years from now, you come to my house, my shit looks like the guy that was an all-star. Like, hey, when he's talking about he got letters, well, I got some D2 letters too in my same trophy case with his D1 letters, but it all looks the same on the gram, right? I posted, hey, today I just got this trophy. It doesn't say that I was the player of the year. It just says I participated though. And participation.
And we've talked about this before, and I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. Like, again, it comes down to what is the base of your circle or that village? How were they taught and how are they teaching you? And a lot of times it depends on where that kid is coming from. Like, what does their household look like? What are their values? What do they believe in? Now, to your point earlier, when you were talking about, Coach Reese, the NIL and like, I'm going to stay in, I'm going to do this, or kind of the instant gratification that a lot of these young people have, they may have some people in their corner that are saying to them, okay, like, here's how you diversify your streams of income. These are the things you can do. But you still also have, unfortunately, the majority of what we see is not about how you diversify. It's about you can't take it with you, so you might as well spend it now. You don't have everybody talking about generational wealth. That is still a small group of people that are focusing on that. So and we've had this conversation a couple of times, until we get enough of the right people going back and saying, like, this is what you need to do. It's about generational wealth. And this is why this makes a difference. Until you can justify that to those individuals that are bringing up these young people that are going to have these contracts and these opportunities, we're not going to be able to get past where we are. We're having these conversations, but how many people are mentoring? How many of us have a portfolio that we can show kids and say, this is what you do with your money? Like, that's what we need to be doing. There's a number of artists, athletes that are now coming out with these financial literacy and programs. And I think all of that is really good. And hopefully that will help in the community. But you've got to change the mindset of a number of people to help them understand that it's not just about the right now, or that right now is only going to get you for 5 years. If you want to live off this for 10, or if you don't want to work no more, this is what you have to do. It's every year it gets harder than what it was, again, when we were coming up. It's a lot harder now to stretch that dollar. Gas is $5 a gallon.
What you talking about, Charlie? You better say 7.
It's $6 in
California. 7, right?
$5.70 for premium in Texas.
Ebony, I got something. I have a thought on that. And Coach, Coach Reese, you were just mentioning this too. I have an alternative thought why our younger generations have this. I want to earn it now. I want to have immediate gratification. And I think it's because a big part of it is the younger generation is actually paying attention to the wealth builders in this country. They actually are. Are they executing the same way? Are they doing it the same way? No, not saying that. But what I am noticing is that if you look at, and I hate the narrative when they talk about typically marginalized communities, Black kids, sports, hey, they want it right now. They don't want to work hard. But when we look at our white counterparts and these companies that are being built and created and the founders of these companies, we look at them and say, oh no, they just were smart in how they cut corners. If you look at Fortune 500 lists today compared to 20 years ago, over half of those companies don't even exist anymore. A total new set of companies have been created, and these are all kids that are 20 to 25 years old who are creating these companies, spinning up these new, like Facebook didn't exist until 2005, 2004.
All right.
And this is who people are watching. TikTok is being created. All of these other companies that are making billions of dollars who are on the billboards of every single NBA arena, NFL arena, MLB, etc. And the people, when you look at who's behind that, are people who are ages 20 to 25, less than 30 years old. And that's who these young kids are watching. Are they executing the same way? But no, guess what? They're cutting corners. They're like, how can I get this bag? How can I create this company? How can I do what I got to do? Hey, we want you to go do this crypto deal. We want you to go do these NFTs. We want you to go do this stuff, because that community is doing that, like short term, short win, really quick. Let me make $1 million, get in and get out. But when they get successful, we look at them and say, oh, they were smart.
No,
when Black kids do it, I'm saying, and I'm not saying that's not a first person.
The difference is the knowledge behind what you do when you get the money, though.
I agree with that. I agree with 1,000%. All I'm answering is the mindset that's there. I'm not saying they're executing the right way. I'm not saying they're taking the right steps. But what they're seeing in their communities of their peers is one that says,
well, those aren't their peers, though. Those aren't their peers, though. That's where the gap is at. So one kid is living in a house with a mom that's working doubles that he sees on Saturday.
We know that from our angle, but to them, they see them as their peers. They're like, hey, these guys are 20 years old, 25 years old. They can do it. I can do it. We're all the same. Yes, we know that they're different, but that is the mindset that they have.
But there's still work that's being put in. Yes, there's corners being. There's
battery's exhausted.
This conversation taking it out of me.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. No, I'm still here. My bad.
Oh my God.
No, my bad, Ebony. That wasn't on you. That was my shit.
Ebony, were you done?
I need that for my next book.
Basically what I was just trying to
exhausted.
Where did Ross go? Battery exhausted.
I'm done. Get it. No, but what I was just trying to say is I agree with what you're saying. It's what they see, and I think again, this is also talked about a lot. There's what they see on Instagram versus what's happening in the background. And they still have to understand that there's work that gets put in. Now, again, depending on who it is, sometimes it's a little different, but some of them have been working really hard. They've done the research. And again, there are individuals in our community, there's young people in our community that are doing the same thing, but there is work required at some point. And that is the problem. It doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen in a week, it's like, oh, it didn't work. I got to try something new. It's understanding that there's still work that has to be done. It has to be sustainable until somebody says, okay, I'm going to take this and make it better. I'm going to take this. I'm going to buy this from you. And now you got your money. And now you got to come up with something else. You have to be able to do the necessary work to get it to where it needs to be. It's not just a one and done. It happens in 5 seconds. That again, it's like talking about a player that makes it to the NBA, the NFL, that's a 1%er that it's one thing that gets them over the moon and somebody buys their company. That's not everybody. That's a 1%.
That's
group.
exactly.
So again, it's understanding that that's a small population of people.
To that point, to both of your points, one, I would say it's not work that has to be done at some point. It's work that has to be done all the time. And I think that goes back to what MH is talking about earlier about being a competitor, right? So I'll say for me as a founder, as a new founder, I'm watching all these other companies just they're raising seed money. They're getting all types of investments. I'm over here like, man, I'm a dog. I work every day to get this. And the whole point of Taskleets is to help college athletes be able to gain experiential financial capital. That's all that we're talking about here. That's why I'm so passionate about the topic, is because Ebony, when you say, what are you guys doing? That's what I'm doing. I'm out here literally, one, creating a business that helps college athletes, regardless of their social status, to be able to leverage gifts, talent, skills, all that stuff, and get social capital by way of doing what we like to call paid internships, right? So I'm also looking at the other 99%. That's my whole mission when it comes to this company. The other piece is I actually go into schools and teach every single student athlete that I come in contact with, understanding their DU number, understanding their money story, understanding what it's like to create that savior complex and how to, leverage everything else. So as far as who's doing it, I'm doing it on a daily basis on my phone right now, right? Like I'm about that life and creating a business that is helping. So when I'm saying like I know I'm not the only one. I know there are other people out there. Actually, shout out to the Athletes Unite conference that's coming up in Atlanta to help college athletes get jobs and internships at big tech companies. So there are other people out there doing it. I think it's just happening at this small of a level. Still, it's way too small. There's less amount of people because, again, this is Black in sports, right? If we talk about just the Black aspect, we as a culture, we as a community are still lacking. The gap for us on so many levels is huge. And the thing that's happening is when we're talking about NIL, we're still only talking about really football players and men's hoopers. And there's some women's basketball players too, a couple here and there that are kind of getting the bag, but that's 2 out of how many sports? You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many other athletes that are not going to, and this is why for me, Taskleets exists, because that's only going to impact, there's almost over 700,000 athletes. NIL is only going to positively impact almost the top 1%. That's a whole lot of other athletes that are going to have to, Brennan, stay in college. Right? Not necessarily to get the degree, because degrees don't always change life, especially for people like us. That's what we're being sold on. But we have to see that if I'm there, I have the opportunity to connect with other people, get that degree, travel, have less overhead and responsibilities, right? And be able to see life from a different framework, because going pro, that's like, what does that mean? So I have to see myself as a pro right now, so that way I can gain all that other types of capital and leverage my gifts and talents where I'm at, or else it's going to be a wrap. But again, there needs to be more people out there having those conversations around all the athletes and not just the ones who are worth $8 million at 16 years old.
And it needs to start sooner than when
before
they
we go
get
too
to
far,
college.
Coach Reese, make sure you email EJ a way that we can contribute to whatever you got going on.
Yes, please.
I'm all about that. So make sure you give him a way that we can connect with you to help support whatever you're doing to help other people like us kind of bridge that gap. With that being said, it's a hell of a gap you're trying to bridge. So just stay the course and just know that, you're trying to overturn, 10, 15, 20 years of one way of living and in a short period of time. So find the ones that want that help and pour in. Because I think in our community, you get trapped in that stratosphere of like, this is the limit that I can go to. And then if I get outside this limit, I don't have anybody to reach back to that says, hey, this is how you manage this lifestyle that you just walked into. So it's like everybody keeps saying going to college. College is great. Like I graduated from college. The only reason I went, and even I look back now, I say if you didn't have to have a GPA to play football, I probably would have never went to class, right? But nobody in my house cared about my GPA as much as they cared about me shining on the field.
Right.
And not to say my mom wasn't on me about getting grades, but when it came down to it, it was like, damn, my boy got a chance. Like, oh shit. Like he got a C and what? Like, man, we need to get him one of them plastic bags and make sure he makes weight for his next college. I'm real. I was jogging the neighborhood instead of reading or doing math. It was about working out to get ready so that you can make weight as a Pop Warner kid. And that started, I'm thinking, shit, that's at like 10, 11 years old. So it was more about managing weight and being physical, and then it was about the books. And my mom cared about you going to school. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but at that same time, my mom was also like, I'm a mother of 3. I'm raising them all by myself. If my son can go make 10 million and all I got to do is sacrifice his academics and get him to make weight and to get on that team and to play well, that's our house focus. That's not my focus. That's everyone's focus. Right. And so then you tell me I got the 10 million and no one told me how to manage it. Where do I find that person? Because no one who did anything to push me to get to that point has ever managed $10 million. That's the biggest problem that we have. You run into a 10 million or 20 million guaranteed contract, and everybody that you know is based in their lifestyle of $50,000 a year salaries in a good neighborhood.
Damn, that's a good
right.
one.
So then how do I go back and say, like, damn, I'm about to pull up in a car that's worth more than your house, and the dealer loaned it to me just because they wanted me to be seen riding around in it. And then I need you to talk to me about how to invest my money in longevity. Like, yeah, that's where our gap is at.
It's a big gap, right? And a lot of go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, you live in a $70,000 house, and then I got to come back to you to get guidance on how to manage $10 million. Where in your mind, like $10 million, you don't even think about that. You're just trying to make that in a lifetime.
Yeah. And that's why we have to start sooner. Like, we need to start kids on this journey when they are in like middle school, elementary school, if we can, because by the time they get to college, there's a certain mindset that has already been branded in their heads. So if we don't get to them younger and start having these conversations early on about money, I mean, how many of us played the stock market game? I mean, let's be real. Okay, maybe I'm showing my age right there, but again, it's starting a lot. It's starting a lot earlier to show them the foundations that you're talking about. It's getting with that mother that has 3 kids to say, your one kid is good at this. What are your other 2 kids good at? And how can we make sure that they're able to support your one son or daughter that's going to do this? How do we teach them to be a financial advisor? How do we teach them to be, a trainer, a money manager, a real estate agent? Like, how do we do that?
Right. So, and I think this is going to kind of roll into our next topic, and it's funny, Gina and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. I think it's what they see, right? We've seen success from the neighborhood dope boy, right? So I will be a dope boy because, like, fuck what you talking about these books. This nigga's out here. He's getting paid.
Hey,
oh, yo, such and such went to the league by carrying his football or shooting his jump shot, right? So, like, we've seen those patterns. We have not seen a lot of the patterns in, and there's subsets of it. I'm saying on the masses of seeing people, hey, his family is a family of entrepreneurs. His family is, on Wall Street. We don't see like all of those when you're talking about social media, new media versus kind of old media. And the new media is really taking over from what it's showing, because that's what we talked about this earlier, right? Like the TikTok. And yes, people are generating money from that new media, but as far as that long-term effects, it's almost the same percentage of people that are going to the league are going to be TikTok famous, right? So I think that's part of and Gene, you can hop in whatever, but
let me say one thing about what you just said, because I think Ebony said it earlier, and it was about generational wealth, right? Mm-hmm. And not all of us maybe grew up in the neighborhood where everybody was on the block, but what were you taught? Like, if you made it to 21 in the hood, then you made
winning.
Why would I think about generational wealth when all of the people who've made it in my neighborhood are lucky if they make it to 25? So I don't need to think about what it would be like to pass it down to my kids or their kids, because I'm just trying to make it to 25 with enough money in my pocket to buy a nice whip and a gold chain. Like, it's a completely different mindset when you talk generational wealth versus what I see around me. Like, I see, like, damn, that dude is running the block, but he done been inside for 2 years here. He spent 4 years in there. He got shot a couple times. He's my man. That's the guy I want to be, because he didn't fall through all of that to get to here. Well, he's only 31, dog. He's 31, and he ain't got nowhere else to go here. This is the pinnacle of his drug or whatever his street life success. And then you're talking about generational wealth is the other conversation that we gotta, like, how do you put those? How do you bridge that gap?
I think that's why Nipsey is so important. Like that's my guy. We share the same birthday, and I think that's why he is so important because he really talked about his evolution. Like if you listen to some of his interviews, he's talking about like when I was still in the streets, that's what my rap sounded like. It wasn't until I really started to evolve more, started getting around some other people, started getting some different healing, reading some different books. Then my rap started talking about where I was actually really at, right? Like, man, I'm from the streets, man. I might got killed, but look at me here doing, and then he leaves this legacy. But I think that's where it's so important, back to your point, Ebony, we've got to get whoever the we is, have to get back into these spaces so they can see like, oh shoot, like I'm getting my doctor right now so I can enter when I start getting coaching again, I can be like, I'm Dr. Coach Reese. I'm being a CEO so I can be like, I'm doctor, you know what I'm saying? And put that in front of it for them to like, really? Like I'm pro education, but I don't think college is the way. So I agree on that point, but it's all about the representation. I think that's why it's so important for all of us as adults to hone in on whatever our passions are when it comes to this and to make sure that, because I think money principles are money principles. If I got 50K and I have the right principles, I can live a comfortable life, regardless of what the dollar amount is. It's about the principles and the mindset that I apply to the dollar, not necessarily the amount, because somebody can have $1 million. And if you don't have the principles down, it ain't going to matter, right? So if you can get the principles and teach them at a younger age, like I connect with my nephew, he's 10 years old. This boy is crazy. I'm like, no, we need to sit down right now. Because you out here doing head taps, you doing the whole nine, and I'm looking at your game like, okay, I need to surround you sooner than waiting until you get to middle school and high school and teaching you all these things. Because the thing is, they're that much more advanced. Their understanding is that much more advanced. They understand everything on a higher level than what we did, because this is the most resource generation. So when you're talking about generational wealth, they have that much more everything than what we had and what our ancestors did. So if we're our ancestors' wildest dreams, you got to look at these kids and be like, our ancestors didn't even get to dream the way these kids do. Right. They get to dream and live on a whole new level. So if we don't say, yo, we need to sit down and really sit down with these cats and talk about not just generational freedom, our wealth, but generational freedom. What does healing look like alongside of that? Right? Like that's a whole nother point.
And again, I think it goes back to what we're all saying is you're not just taking that one kid that can do X, Y, or Z. You're taking that kid and his family and his close friends, and you make that whole group come up, and you make them come up in different ways. What's your passion? Is it videography? Is it music? Is it this? Here's how you make that play out for you and support this person. So we can all get the bag, but we get it in different ways. Like it's about taking what we're all saying, what is that person's passion? Because your passion may not be hooping. It may not be football. It might be you like to do code. Make that sexy for them. You need to make your homeboy's app. And that's how we all get the bag. But we got to show them that there's all of these avenues, because just like in sports, it's like the only way to make money in sports is to play. It's not the only way to make money in sports. It's not the only way to be in sports. There are so many other avenues to be in sports, entertainment, and all these other areas that people think are sexy and make more money and not have to put in as much wear and tear on your body as they do. So we need to make those avenues available. How do you do marketing? How do you do community relations? How do you do accounting and finance? Like we have to show all of the avenues that are available, not just the ones that are sexy, because guess what? Again, it's the 1% that get to be sexy. Let me be in this background, collect this check. I'm going to be sexy back here with my money.
I think it's important to make sure, one of the things I'm really passionate about is I'm all with you on seeing other people. They have to see people that look like us in impactful roles, which doesn't exist very much. We don't own any industry. We don't own very many industries. If you look at the top billionaires, I think there's 5 to 7 Black, and that's it. Robert Smith, people don't see. People don't know who he is.
Got 2 in sports.
People don't know who Robert Smith is. Robert Smith isn't out giving access. I have a better chance of meeting, I don't know, Jay-Z or even seeing Kyrie Irving than I do of seeing Robert Smith or Oprah and the likes. So I think giving them access and calling on the leaders of these industries who have Black people that look like us in the non-prevalent roles. Tell me who the most impactful Black person is in a tech company, and you won't be able to do it because that person's not out there. But he is chairman of the board of Microsoft, right? Like, who would know? They don't see those people. They don't see marketers. They don't see business finance people. They do not see people who are getting the bag and moving in the industry. I can see Mark Zuckerberg. I can actually go watch him speak somewhere.
That's
but but there is not one that they see.
But that's on
looks
us
like
making
us.
that available, and
I agree with you.
like
I
Black
agree
in
with you.
Sports make
I agree
that
with you.
available. And
I agree with you.
it's us being available to Coach Reese when she starts having avenues for us to speak and talk about who we are and what we do. Again, like you got Gene on here who is doing his thing in ticketing, and people are like, wait, but what is that? How do you even get into that? There's a way to do it. We're accessible. The avenues just have to be there, and we have to show that it's important that there's other things to do. But again, it's us showing that that's important.
So how do we encourage? My question is,
I'm the only Black woman on my team. Like when I go into a meeting, it's me as a Black woman. There's one Black man, and then everybody else in the room is white. We literally had an event the other day, an appreciation event for full-time team. Yeah. And when we did it, we were getting ready to have lunch. And I said, all right, all the ladies get up and you guys go get lunch first. And the guys were like, oh, what? There were 7 women that got up. 7. And there were over 30 people at the lunch. 7 got up to go get lunch first. And my boss goes, it's a telling sign that there's still more, that there are this many people sitting down. I'm like, yeah, dude, there's only 7 of us. And of the 7, 3 were Black.
Yeah. I'll just say,
we can wrap it up.
No, I say from my perspective, I think the best thing that happened to me is going to HBCU. When I first walked on Southern's campus, like, because I came from one area. I was in Houston. I was in South Park. It was only one view of life, right? So when I walked in, I had my whole Cuban links chain. I had a grill. I had all that when I walked on campus. But when I started seeing other people that look like me, dressing different, men like doing different things, and that's when like that whole Kanye thing happened when I was in college, and everybody started wearing button downs and all this stuff. Then all of a sudden, by the time my senior year hit, I was a whole different person. Like I wasn't that same person when I went to college. And I was like, just going to being in the HBCU, being around people that look like me, saying like, you know what? It ain't all about, oh, I need to have the grill. I need to have the chain. I need to have the starched jeans every day. Like sometimes I still feel like throwing on some starched jeans, you know. It's just in me, the H-Town in me. But at the end of the day, it's like that whole shift happened when I went to HBCU. I saw something different. I saw a different way to live. I saw a different life. I saw people that look like me. I saw successful people like me. I had great professors. I had people leading me away, making sure, like, all right, yeah, I know you smart. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are your path? This is not you. Like, take this path. I'm gonna show you the way. And it's just having those influences around you. And that's just another piece of it, man. It's like you get growth. Like you said about Nipsey. Same thing with Jay-Z. Think about Jay-Z raps when he first came out to now. Now he's talking about financial portfolios and art. Yep. So it's a big difference. It's that growth. You learn it, you meet new people, you learn about different things. Same thing with me. I go into different meetings, I learn different things. I learn from different people. If people that look like me that's went through it. And we need to spread that. We need to be able to share that. We need to go back. That's why I want HBCU. Anytime they call me, all right, y'all got me. What you need? I'm there. I'll show up. So
can I say one last thing to what you just said, Gene? And I think it kind of ties a lot of stuff in a little bit is we've got to make learning look cool. I know that sounds mad corny, but like being a competitor in learning, I think that's a piece of it. Like if you're a competitor, you want to learn how you can be as good and as great as you can be. So again, Brandon, to your point, college is not the only way. When I talk to my athletes about school, I can care less what your GPA is. And I say that because it doesn't matter what the score is, it's about how you got to it. Did you learn how to work hard? Did you learn how to manage your time? Did you learn how to, plan and schedule out and be disciplined and not procrastination? Because those are the skills that's going to go into building your credit score, into building your business, into being an entrepreneur. Like, I want to teach, you know, the quote unquote transferable skills. And then if your GPA ends up being a 4.0, that's legit. But if you really did do all those other things that you can't necessarily trace in a number, but you developed as a human, you learned how to be your best self, that's going to be the thing as an athlete. Why I think athletes are the best, because you have literally 15, 20 years of reps on your peers who weren't athletes, right? Regardless of whether you're playing a pro or you're playing at the collegiate level, you have the opportunity to dive in that much more. But we have to show that there is beauty in learning. There's beauty in being able to be like committed to a discipline, committed to being responsible and hungry at your craft, right? Like, you can't tell me you're a competitor and you're not hungry to get better, right? Like, what does that take? That takes continual discipline and focusing on the reps. And I think that's where you see the separation, but it's not just in putting the ball in the hole or playing football. It's in right now for me as a founder, right? For in like all these other different ways, whether it be whatever your job looks like, how do you apply that same discipline that you did in your sport to that work ethic in your job? And I think that's what they need to see more, is like, I could still compete in finances in this way and still be dope and still be sexy regardless of what the title is.
All right. So want to move on to was it the 50th anniversary of Title IX? So that happened this month. So we're talking about different topics, man. And I definitely want to start with, I guess we'll start with Birdie, if you want to kind of jump in, because I think you attended just an amazing event that we had locally here in Las Vegas, and then just kind of just talk about what's going on around it. And I guess if you guys have not seen 37 Words on ESPN, I definitely recommend y'all checking that out. But Birdie, you kind of kick us off. Mute. Get off mute, Birdie.
Okay, there we go. So first of all, thanks for passing me a seat at that table, because that was definitely probably one of the top 5 things I've done in my entire life, was being at this event. So leading up to that, they were on ESPN profiling the 96 women's Olympic team, which I'm a basketball girl. So I kind of got into it, even though I knew that story because I graduated from high school in 96. And I was like, this is interesting that it just kept popping up. And then here comes this Title IX event here. So basically there's this celebrating 50 years, and it's been a push to take it up a notch. Yeah, we've accomplished this, we've done this, but like pretty much everything, there's more to do. There's more work to be done. Some of the emphasis on that was higher pay, particularly WNBA and women's soccer, where they outperform the men on an annual basis, but get paid 15% of what they make. And then recognizing those trailblazers, those people whose shoulders we've stood on. So it was a very powerful event with 4 to 5 members from the 96 women's team was there. The honoree was Billie Jean King. It was SportsCenter hosted it. It was really phenomenal. And the weird thing is, all these women are 50 plus. I'm 44, so 50 plus, and you could literally feel the competitive energy in the room. Like it was insane, because you're like, there's like an aura here, and you're surrounded by greatness, and then that makes you kind of feel like you're motivated, and you're like, you want to be in greatness. And then on the backside of that, literally in terms of just Title IX, there has to be more people who care enough about it, and a lot of people don't. They get the opportunities that we got, and they're totally, I think we use complacent, content, or okay with it. But where's the people that's going to help push it forward? Billie Jean King is 76, 78, or whatever she is. She can't push it any further than what she's pushed it. So who's stepping up next, and who wants to be responsible? And it didn't have to be anybody famous. They recognized 3 local Las Vegas citizens with celebrities and with people who are well known. And I was just as impressed with the local people here and what they've done to try to push this agenda forward, as opposed to what the 96 women's Olympic team did. And it just goes to show that, like, you don't have to be famous, you don't have to be a millionaire, you don't have to be known, but your work matters. The body of work that you put in and what you contribute to, and whatever it is you're trying to do, it matters. And it was just a beautiful thing to see. was literally who's who of. I mean, the Aces team was there. Everybody showed up at Dawn Staley. Put it that way. And Cheryl Swoops playing. I don't know if you guys saw like the flights that were canceled. Her flight got canceled, so she didn't make it. But and then it was cool to see men as a part of it, because it was the men who actually had the money that was funding it. Mark Davis, owner of the Raiders, Reggie Jackson was there. Darren Waller presented an award, and he's a known fixture at the Aces games. Just about every game he's there. So it was nice to see the men support the women and try to help us get to where they are. I don't think pay is ever going to be equal. I mean, like we talk about the WNBA in a 5-month season, I think they deserve more, but you're never going to have $1 million contract. But the fact that people acknowledge that and recognize it and at least try to get it a little higher, a little better, a little more comparable or equitable, I think that was huge. And it was just an amazing thing to be a part of.
Nice. So you said one of the things that kind of I picked up early on is you just kind of felt challenged, right? Like, or not challenged, but that you want to kind of continue.
Hey, it was like, forward. Get out of ball. Where's the rim at? Like, I mean, like it's crazy. And we're all spread out. So it was a small, intimate event, and we were kind of all spread out. And you could be at a table with anybody, but you could feel the energy in this room. Like you knew you were around greatness. And like, Ruthie Bolton, I was telling EJ a story about how I was trying to talk to Billie Jean King, and Ruthie Bolton, who was known for defense, literally just came and boxed me out. I was like, we're not at the game. And she wore her Olympic gold medal to this event. That's not competitive. Like, and she was showing it. Matter of fact, Teresa Edwards kind of laughed at her. They were like, damn, Ruthie, calm down. But that's how she showed up. And like you could feel it. You could feel the aura, you could feel the energy, you could feel the greatness. If you guys get a chance to watch it, they do Billie Jean King's interview. So there, after the awards, there was a sit down with her and Carolyn Peck. They talked for about 15 minutes about Title IX. She's still competitive and feisty. Like she's literally approaching 80, and she still is fired up now as she was back then. And so it just kind of makes you like, all right, you know, like, yeah, I get it. I like this. But that's how those people were.
So we got a couple of girl dads in the room, and so just want to hear MH or Miss International, like what is your thoughts about Title IX and just kind of in the world we are, and I know you guys have future athletes potentially, but just kind of want to get either your thoughts.
You got it, MH. They've been beating you up for Ben Simmons, so I'm gonna let you start with this. Trying to give you an easy win.
I appreciate you, bro. No, I think what's going on with the recent decisions and things are made, and I don't want to be political or religious or anything of that nature, but I'm praying for my daughter nightly in this country and in this world, and my heart was kind of sad over the last few days dealing with my wife and my daughter of choice and all those type of things, and I don't know if this is a platform for it, but I want those opportunities of choice, whether that be in sports or just human rights, available to my daughter. And I've looked at the world in a different lens from having a daughter. I've learned a lot more in these 2 years than I think I've learned in other 30 plus years of my life. So looking forward to the day where my daughter is not necessarily looked at as a girl athlete, or if that's what she wants to do, but just as an athlete. And I think that's where we're headed, and I think that's where we're going. But we got a lot of work to do. And I'm just prayerful for her and her future. So.
That's one thing I learned at this event was that there's so much work. We're just scratching the surface, and it's been 50 years. I also learned, and I didn't know this before, that at one point the NCAA challenged Title IX, and I was like, wow. And they had some random facts posted up, and it was just crazy. Like we used to have so much work to do. I agree with you completely on that.
MH, as a dad, you did a good job finessing that. So he kind of slid by and rubbed on and tapped into a couple things. And so I think me and EJ just recently were together and we were talking about some things and just really trying to figure out what the way that sports is kind of changing right now with the different gender neutral sports activities and how it's not really impacting men's sports so much right now, but it's drastically impacting some of the women's sports. And so where do we go as a dad, especially to teach my daughter how to be accepting of all people, but then to also value the hard work she had to be in and compete at the highest level with other people that will be similar to her. And so now you kind of face that as a parent. It kind of has me in like, wow, like what do you teach your kid and what are they competing for? And I'm in limbo with how to describe it to her at 7 right now, and how to say that you can hustle every day and I can take you out to the park to teach you how to dribble, shoot, pass, put you in every clinic and camp. And then when you turn 17, you can play in the NCAA finals against someone who's built like your dad, right? And so, and how to articulate that you have to be accepting of people like that, but then also understand that they have an inherent advantage against you and something that you fought so hard to be great at. So I'm when you ask that as a dad, like I'm struggling with how to articulate that to my daughter at 7, that at 18 you may not be just a woman who fought to be their Title IX to be able to play a university sport. You're a woman fighting to be a woman in a sport, you know. And so that to me is like, it's a much more complex question when you ask it than it is just looking at Title IX and how much you had to fight to get women's sports to be a factor in universities. And now that we have this impact on our lives that says that we need to be accepting of all. And I know as every face on here, and this is Black in Sports, as Black people, we weren't involved or accepted for a long period of time. And then now you have this new group who is able to get instant acceptance and to overshadow any of the strides that Title IX has made, Black athletes have made, and our impact on the world in sports is now getting overshadowed by this new vision of acceptance. And so we went from, we can't accept you guys in to we got to accept everybody in. And then you can't, I think I was telling somebody, like, it's almost like being a bigot to be like, damn, I don't want my daughter to have to play against him. Like, it makes you seem like a bigot now. When people said we don't want niggas or Negroes or however they said it to feel conscious about it playing in our sport, it was much more accepted than if I was the father to say like, damn, you know how much money I've invested into training my daughter to get her to Stanford to play in the finals against UConn, and UConn has that advantage on the other side. So when you ask that question to me, it's got a lot of caveats to me. I'm happy to know that at some point in time, women had enough clout to fight to be able to have Title IX get passed and to give them some sort of equality in sports and college athletes. I think this being the 50th anniversary, 10 years from now, we're going to have an anniversary to talk about, because it's going to be a completely different dynamic that we have to focus on, and that impact on sports at the collegiate level and just in our world in general. So stay tuned.
I agree completely. And that was the part that nobody wanted to talk about. That's the part nobody wants to talk about, because nobody wants to offend anybody, or nobody wants to say something that's going to get them canceled or lose their position in life or whatever. And while we're celebrating and doing all these great things, we talk about that on the side as if it's not an issue. Some people feel it's a threat to Title IX, or some people feel, oh, that's Title IX itself. And regardless of where you sit, it's an issue. And it's a concern. It has to be brought up, because again, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and particularly this whole swimming situation where they actively banned, I can't remember his name or whatever, and immediately they take him out, and the world's number one, Katie Ledecky, goes back to being the world's number one and goes back to winning and winning. Well, she's been doing that since she was 4. Yeah. And here comes a person that, again, looks like her dad, as you say, and he wins for 2 straight years, and then they take him out and she goes back to winning, something that she's worked on since she was 4. But surprisingly, there's a whole lot of people who feel that has nothing to do with Title IX.
That has a lot to do with Title IX.
I agree.
To do with Title IX, and it's slipping in to our society under the covet of other people who have fought the battle for equality. So it's making their ability to leap bounds that we had to fight for hundreds of years to get.
To
right?
me, it's definitely
all of the things that Black people have had to fight for to become somewhat equal, to have people see us as we deserve these things. And now, because of that fight, because of Title IX, other groups are able to instantly slide into equity and are into equitable situations that I mean, not, and like you might say, this is not a place to have a political debate, but it is Black in sports. And as a Black person, I think that it's crazy to me to watch other people use all of the hard work Black people and women have done, and minorities
Facts.
in general, to
Facts.
use it as a pass to get in the fast lane to make their agenda the only thing that really matters. And I think my buddy was like, you didn't even realize the LGBTQ community put Black in as one of the things, because I think somebody in their group was like, damn, we can change the world like this overnight. But Black people have been working for hundreds of years to get the equality that we get overnight. So how is that possible?
And I think, Mr. You're speaking on a whole lot of things that I haven't seen anybody of your stature speak on, and I appreciate that, because they're conversations that need to be had. And I will say, and I always say this, here are my intersections. I'm a Black woman, lesbian, Christian, and all of those intersections will lead a girl to therapy. But when you look at, Title IX in of itself, it wasn't created for me. Yeah. Anything that was really created wasn't created for me being a Black woman. Like the systems, historically white institutions, all that stuff, it was created, right, more times than not, for white women or just white people or white males or whatever, right? So you have to break it down and look at it from that perspective as well. But I saw on TikTok the other day, similar to what you're saying, there was this man, he's a Black man who says he's a Muslim. And he said, if I say that I believe that homosexuality is a sin, but it's per my beliefs, because I also think that eating meat is a sin, does that make me a bigot? Like, can I literally just stand and like, per my religion, this is what I believe? And I think that, right, that's to your point, to where it becomes, people don't have the space to just believe what they want to believe without becoming like harmful, or people seeing it as harmful. And then when I look at the LGBTQ movement, that's real white facing. Like a lot of it is really white facing. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff for me personally that I'm like, that wasn't really for and about me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like that's why I put my intersections the way that I do, because I have to take the fact that I'm a Black human being first. And weren't too many things created with me in mind, and then being a woman. So when you look at Title IX or just Black women in sports in general, you look at how their Black women are grouped, either being Black and then their male counterparts are women, and then white women counterparts. But we look at the impact that this stuff has had on Black women specifically, we're struggling still on all accords. And I brought this up when we talked about Brittany Griner. Now you bring up a lesbian, a mass lesbian who has a different makeup, not of her, right? She's not transgender, but she's got a different makeup. So the world automatically sees her, way different. And I think there you bring in a whole nother aspect of like, how many Black transgender people do you think you will see at a different level the way you see Leah Thomas or Thompson? Probably not. Why? Because they're Black, right? And that stigma within the Black community. So there's like multiple areas that we have to be able to break down or be comfortable just having the conversation with and over on, like, how do you just accept humans for being humans? How do you train up your household to respect people, right? And still work hard and then to not, be judgmental. But on the other side is like, when do we have a fight that is ours and then we actually get to reap the benefits of just being Black humans? Like, I don't know if that will ever be the case.
That's not
Especially happening. There's some other research that came out that like 60% of, I believe, the abortions are from white women. So if you think about that, and they're trying to make it to where people of color do not dominate the country, well, then what do? You ban abortion, so that way the 60% of those babies keep being born. Now the numbers go back the opposite direction. So it's like, are we really just fighting to get something like for what? Then it goes back to, what are we now teaching our kids then, right? What are we teaching these kids in elementary? Is it all about the bag? What do you do when you got the bag? What's your comfortable? What's your passion? What's your purpose, right? Like, how do we allow you to live a purpose-filled life with confidence, regardless of the skin that you're walking and moving in? Like, there's 4 different conversations in that, but I appreciate you, being a bigger Black man, masculine, like dude, and having that and bringing that to the table, because there's not a lot of people that are willing to go there.
I think, like MH said, my daughter has my eyes opening to things that I didn't even think about. Like just literally just watching her and thinking about what she will have to deal with as she grows. It has me thinking in a way that's just that never crossed my mind for the first, 30 something years of life. But now it has me really looking at where will it take her, and how do I protect her or provide her with the ability to be successful in these environments.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to piggyback off something you said, Coach Reese, I'm an advocate of Title IX. I like it, and personally, and I might be a nobody, but it's benefited me. But when you bring up like Leah Thomas and her situation, you also have Caster Semenya of South Africa, a female sprinter who was dominating but had a male sex hormone and was banned by her own country, but will allow men to compete with women. But a woman, an African woman, can't compete with other women. Like, so again, we're totally just scratching the surface of where we are. They banned and shamed this woman, and she had so many. They were sending her to Russia to get to test her, body, and they were examining her insides to see if she was a guy, and she's a female. She has a vagina, for crying, and that's Title IX. That's where we are, but that's what happens to a black female, as opposed to allowing a white male who wants to be a white female to compete and win and dominate. So I do agree, it's definitely white facing, and that's where we are. And I think that's why it's all the more important that we have these uncomfortable and difficult conversations, and people realize and not let their feelings be hurt because people say stuff, because this is where we're headed. And I agree, in 10 years, man, this whole thing could just blow up and be whatever.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Right.
All right. So kind of getting to the finish line here. We're in those dog days of summer, and like we're in that limbo spot of sports, right? Like the NBA finals finished up, NBA draft, which we all talked about, wasn't really anything to look forward to. So hell, I was watching, what was it, the World Championship Tag League on ESPN Ocho.
You ain't breaking out the Ocho. We're in the middle of the baseball season, my man. Come on now.
And we got Formula One and NASCAR.
Okay, so first of all those things you just spoke about are a problem with this community, right? Like we just started getting on NASCAR, and I think we had homework from the last thing.
Yeah, nobody watched that one. Yeah,
I think Eric put us on it.
Look, Young Money. Eric put us on watching MLS, right? So we need to get on that.
Yeah, International League, whatever y'all want to watch, because
International League. That's
what there's been a lot of friendlies going on. They finished up the
what's a friendly
like international, so it's just games that they play.
What's a friendly?
Like USA versus Mexico, but there's nothing behind it. They're just playing it just to play it. Because like the World Cup qualifying is over. They have those teams that are set. Also, I don't know if you guys have seen, but they announced the 15 cities in North America that will be hosting games for 2026 World Cup, and Dallas is on that list. I'm not sure if Vegas is.
Nope, we didn't get it.
Unfortunate.
No.
I'm going to do my best to go to at least 2 games here and maybe a game in Houston, because soccer is my jam. So, yeah. Yeah. You still got baseball. Baseball's going on. It's in the peak of the mid-season.
So who's watching baseball here?
I watch baseball. I probably watched more college baseball this year than I watched college basketball. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Look, I'm a Mets fan, and so we're doing really good right now. So
unfortunate.
I'm watching. Listen, leave me alone, okay? We won't make it.
Okay,
they talking about having a Subway Series, World Series. I was like, come on, y'all. I believe, have hope.
Subway Series, for anybody who doesn't know, is the New York Mets versus the Yankees.
If I lived in New York, I'd watch baseball too, between the Mets and the Yankees.
Oh, yeah, there's too much.
They look real good right now.
Have you guys even seen the hype around college softball with Oklahoma and that chick that was just killing it? And then the World Series, even with college baseball, Ole Miss just stunned Oklahoma or somebody.
Oklahoma. I'm so happy OU didn't win the college baseball World Series. I'm so happy.
As
a Texas fan, I could not see them take. They beat Texas in the softball. I can't have them win baseball too. No, absolutely not.
The Avalanche beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, so they stopped the repeat.
Yep, I'm happy the Lightning didn't win.
Look, here in New York, we are very thankful, as the Rangers didn't win.
Yeah.
I work my team. Look, I work technically for the Islanders. So, the Rangers didn't win. So, yay. But Tampa Bay didn't win. So, yay. The Avalanche won. It's like they're in Colorado. They needed something.
Man, they needed something for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
whoa. I can't have you disrespect Colorado like that. Not the home city. No, I can't.
In Colorado, it's like
the NFL handed Peyton that last ring. They said, "Here you go, Mr.
Let's
Man,
ride."
this is
I
for
can't
you."
let what Russell
And that
Wilson
was
said.
it.
Let's ride.
Hey, y'all did have
I
Tebow.
don't know about that one. Let's ride, Broncos.
Y'all had Tebow. Don't let him. Y'all had Tebow. Don't let him get too crazy.
I can't let you disrespect Colorado like
but
that.
I'm sorry, but yeah. So the Avalanche won, which
Well, and that's because doesn't so that's two for the Cronkies, right? Like because he owns Colorado, he owns LA,
the Rams.
the Rams.
He winning.
Yeah, he's having a good year to say.
Give me
the
another
least.
ring. Give me another ring.
All right. So if all hearts and minds are clear, if anybody wants to get it off their chest, speak now, forever hold their peace. MH, if no one has anything, why don't you wrap us up?
Yeah, I'm gonna say something real quick. Check out Tassleets. I know Mr. National, you peeped in, so check us out. We are developing our MVP. We should be done within the next couple months. Tassleets, where athletes compete to complete your task. It is a gig tech company for college athletes, and our mission is to help them gain experiential and financial capital, period. So that way they can leave college and have a experience, resume, money, help decrease mental health issues, and also put some money in their pocket and then connect them with other people through social capital, and just really give them a full holistic experience. They get to make their own competitive rates, their own hours. Think of it again like a Thumbtack or a TaskRabbit or something, but specifically for college athletes. So we'll be launching in Washington and Texas, hopefully in August, and then we'll be going from there. But we're going to eventually get into crowdfunding. So if you want to be a part of, investing in a tech company, I'm the CEO, I'm the co-founder. This is my vision, and I'm working, every day to bring it to fruition, just to really help college athletes turn profit on their token. So that way they can know, right, regardless of their social status, that they have and that they can be, and to put more people like us, in front of them, and to be able to employ them at different levels and rates. So definitely tap in with the journey. If you have more questions, hit me up, because it's going to take a village to be able to get it to that space, because I'm seeing co-founder or other people out there raising money. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pulling all this right now out of my pocket. We haven't hit a seed round or a series yet or anything like that. And it's just all just coming out of my own personal investment to get it out there to college athletes. So if you want to have that conversation, hit me up. I'd love to have it. I appreciate y'all.
I'll put in a call to Mark Cuban for you. I got you.
And now, there's a couple of investment people that MH, Mr. International, what was her name that we met at Four Seasons? She said, yeah. So we'll put some people. We'll put some people in front of you, Coach Reese. And then also, Coach Reese was on this season, so she was in season 3, episode 5. So definitely go check that out. A young nephew, go ahead and promote. Tell them what you've been up to, man, because you got a new podcast. And
yeah, Space Bar podcast, man. It's been we're on episode 28. We've just been kicking it. We're trying to figure out what exactly our brand is going to be. Hopefully we'll figure that out in the next couple of weeks, but it's been fun. It's been a good time. It's been an hour and a half of a week to get away from just the bullshit, honestly, and shoot the shit with my buddies. So it's been a good time. I need to get back on streaming. Eric Pat, same thing. Eric Pat 11, you know what it is, on Twitch. But yeah, I've just been grinding. I need to get back into the stock market. That's what I need to do.
Okay, see, there we go. And that's what this is. So I appreciate you all jumping on here, because this is definitely, therapy. We're educating, sharing thoughts, and connecting. So B, tell us about the rubric, man.
Yeah, I focus on the business of the NBA and WNBA and the impact on the Black community. So I'm also very passionate about growing intelligence and representation in technology and business. I've come from a tech background and very few jobs where people look like me in them. So I'm all for startups and young companies that want to create opportunities for us. So
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
I hit you up on LinkedIn, Coach Reese.
Anybody else before MH wraps us up? All right. Bring us home, MH.
Appreciate y'all, man. It's a great conversation. I know everybody could be doing something else, but y'all spent, a couple hours with us, and that doesn't go unnoticed. So really thank you guys. And I think the common denominator from everybody here, whatever walk of life we're in, is, man, we're going to get it, man. So you got to keep getting it every day. Got to hit it. Got to go get it. And that's what it is, man. And that's what the beauty of sports. I think Coach Reese, you touched on that, man. It's what you learn from sports about competing and go getting it and winning every day. So salute to all y'all getting it. And let's keep going.
Definitely.
Awesome. And definitely want to thank everybody that was online. We had the Space Coast podcast was online, tweeting live. We had HM, just everybody that kind of supports the show. We see you, we appreciate you. And then thank you all for who shared the show last time. If you could, continue to do that. I think it gets the message out. It just gets more people, more eyeballs on this. So, when you get a chance, go to YouTube, go to Twitter. They're both up as soon as we hit the end of the broadcast. And then talk about these connections, because we are making some real connections. And we're going to, as we see Tasslees grow, we can kind of earmark this time where we all kind of really branch together, whether it's $5 or it's an intro to a connect to a person. So let's just continue to build, because if we see it, we can be it, right? And that's part of it. So as we always say to end and wrap this out, please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Shoot me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Shoot me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap and rap.